everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Female Empowered Podcast. I am your host, Christa Gurka, longtime physical therapist, Pilates instructor, studio owner, and now business mentor for other women in wellness. Today's episode is specifically for Pilates studio owners, but basically any business can kind of take this episode and make it their own, because what we are going to talk about are things that you can do mid-year to reset for the remainder of the year. So basically, we just came to a close of Q2, which also means we're halfway through the year, if you can believe it. I know it's cray cray. But what I wanted to talk about and what we just recently did, not only with our FitBiz monthly membership community, but also with my inner circle, we did a few full quarterly review and also then a mid-year review. And what I'm going to give you today, if you stick around till the end of the episode, is I am going to share with you for free the entire worksheet that we use for the women in my membership and into the inner circle. And so you can grab this download and free resource and go ahead and do it yourself with your team, by yourself. You can schedule a one-on-one call with me, and I'm happy to walk you through that as well. So what we're really going to talk about is how to evaluate what you've been doing thus far and where, if anything, you need to do, and what, if anything, you need to do to reset for the remainder of the year. What you do not have to do is you do not have to keep your foot on the gas pedal necessarily for the rest of the year. You do not have to panic if your classes aren't packed, okay? Pilates studios are like Starbucks now. They are popping up every corner, every 3 minutes in the United States, another Pilates studio is opening. And so panic is probably going to set in, but it doesn't have to. And this is where I really, really believe it's important now. It's basically like our industry has now been forced to look at our businesses like businesses so that we can weather the storm of competition that's going to come in. And competition is fine. It's great. It's what this country was built on, right? But you don't necessarily have to create something bigger and better and new just because competition is coming in. If anything, I encourage you to lean in more to what makes you unique. So that's what I really want to talk about today is what are the things you should be reviewing in your business, specifically around the fundamentals, the foundation of your business, the core values and alignment, and really review what's working, refine what's not working, and possibly reset your energy and your strategy and your business operations before the fall hits. So unless you sit in a vacation town, which you might, most of us are a little slower in the summer. But if you're up in the Hamptons or maybe on the coast of North Carolina or Georgia in a beach town where people are coming to you, this is your busy time. And so then you can possibly regroup, you know, in the fall or one of those times it's like not as busy for you. But this is still a valuable episode because you can come back to it when you need it. And so, like I said, summer is historically slow for most business owners. July for Pilates in the Grove historically was our lowest revenue generating month for like 15 years. Okay. However, I actually just recently got a message from another business owner, which I loved. I'm actually going to read it to you because I thought it was really pretty cool. She actually sent it to me. Let me see. Where is it? Where is it? I don't know where it is now. Anyway, she said that um, June has always been their slowest month. And here it is. She said June has historically been a slow month. I haven't seen my June financial reports because she sent this to me on like July 2nd. But within our scheduling system, it was our highest revenue ever. And our class utilization rate in recent weeks has finally inched towards 80%. So even though you can think that summer is traditionally slow for you, things happen with slow, consistent action, putting one foot in front of the other. So this is not necessarily time to go out and hustle harder. It's really just time to get clearer and calm before things ramp back up again at the end of Q3 and Q4. Okay, so one of the things that we do when we look at, or and that I suggest, and that we used to do in Pilates in the Grove, are really looking at our offers, our schedule, our pricing, and our team. Okay, so there are macro metrics that you can look at, like your overall revenue, your overall profit, your utilization. And then there are like micro metrics that you can look at. And these are kind of like the micro metrics that some people don't look at. So are your current offers aligned with the season of business that you're in? So look at your offers. Are they, so for example, is it time to maybe consider memberships in your studio if you have been kicking that can down the road for a while? Is it time to possibly consider maybe running some series, right? What's a series? So a series would be a 6-week prenatal course, or a 6 weeks postnatal course, or a 6-week prep for surgery course, or Pilates foundations course. Those are like a series. So they're set times, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and people sign up for the whole series. Do you need to look at your pricing? And when I say look at pricing, I do not mean compare it to your competitors. I mean compare it to your expenses. So do you need to adjust pricing because of inflation? And I know that this is like a really, really hard topic for a lot of people because they're like, well, I can't raise prices now because people are really hurting. And while that's true, and we want to be conscientious of that, it doesn't behoove anyone if your business is hurting and you're in the red. Okay. So if you need to look at prices now, generally in our service industry, the tariffs, et cetera, aren't going to affect us in our business daily, but they are going to affect if you're opening a new studio and you're ordering new equipment, depending on where the materials come from and where the things are built, other accessories. So it is possible that overall it may affect our business now and even in the future, considering like computers, even though there's been some talk about them not putting tariffs on electronics. And anyways, this isn't a political podcast. So, but do you need to adjust your pricing because of inflation? Does your schedule match the season of business that you're in? Okay. Or do you need to adjust your schedule to meet the lifestyle that you want to have? All right. I know a business that the owner, wants to teach Pilates and she really wants to be home at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to be able to be with her family. Well, great. She can set up a business where she works in the morning while her kids are at school, and she can either rent out the studio in the afternoon, physical therapy, other types of modalities, or she can have other instructors, private instructors that come in and rent the studio from her, or she can just have instructors that work in the afternoon and have a team that's evolved and empowered to run without her having to be there. And then finally, is your team aligned? Are there red flags that you're ignoring? Are there difficult conversations that you are kicking the can down the road because you don't want to have them? So, okay, so look at your offers, your schedule, your pricing, and your team. Now, one of the other things that we do frequently when we do our quarterly reviews is to audit your revenue streams. All right, we do this. I do this with members in the inner circle. We audit our revenue streams, especially when we have multiple offers, classes, private sessions, workshops, teacher trainings. Look at what we really do is do a deep dive into these metrics with dashboards and things to really see what's contributing to your bottom line. What has the highest profit margin? Most of the time, what has the highest profit margin are group classes. depending on, again, your unit economics. So how many reformers you have, how many people can you get into a class, and how much you're paying out to the teachers to teach that class. So what we want to do to audit is pull revenue per service, revenue per service from January to June. So you would do revenue per private session, revenue per physical therapy, revenue per group class, revenue per teacher training. All right. And then you can calculate the gross margin. So, like, what does it cost to teach that class or that service? So, if you charge $100 for a private session and you pay your instructor $40, your gross profit is $60. So what you can see from this is what's actually profitable and what is just keeping you busy. So for example, there was a period of time where we used to have bar classes at Pilates in the Grove. I think we had 2 a week, 3 a week maybe. And when I finally looked at the numbers, I realized we were actually losing money on those classes. And so even though the people that were coming were really excited about them and the teacher that taught it was really happy to teach it, at some point I was like, we could use this hour of time. We could better utilize this hour. We could better utilize the space. We could better utilize the instructor, so at some point we had to decide it's just keeping us busy, and we decided to take it off the schedule. There was also a period of time where one of our studio locations was not doing well, and the other studio location was really keeping the whole business afloat. And there was a period of time where I had to look at the numbers and decide how much longer can I go before I have to make the hard decision and maybe close the second studio, right? Because it's not, one studio can't be bleeding money while the other one is profitable. So, and for me, my opinion was I don't want to work as hard as I'm working for like 1 or 2% profit. So it's important to look at those, especially if you have multiple locations, to make sure, and with the women that are in the inner circle that have multiple locations, we really delineate each location, each expense, and so that we can see which studios are doing really, really well and which locations are possibly not doing as well. Or maybe they're all doing great. Okay. It's not that you necessarily need more offers, you need better offers. You need more profitable offers. So one of the things we like to do at least quarterly, if not twice a year, is audit your revenue streams. So look at the profitability of each individual revenue stream, even if it's merchandise, retail. Okay, let's talk about now studio maintenance. Summer for us was always a time we did studio maintenance. We tuned up the reformers, the chairs, the springs. We had a company that we use that would come in all the time. Twice a year, we used to do it. We refresh our props. We replaced worn out loops. And so that was something we did in the summer frequently. And it was kind of like a spring cleaning. We could test lighting. We did deep cleaning of all sorts of stuff. So doing studio maintenance in the summer when we're slow is a really, really good thing to reset for the fall. Now, another thing you can do is look ahead. So let's prepare for the fall. How can you do that? Look at last fall, right? Look at which classes were full, which time slots didn't do as well, who taught the strongest sessions, and did you as owner personally teach more than you wanted? Build your schedule around demand and data, not feelings or assumptions. I say this all the time to people, feelings are not facts. Okay. So you want to build your schedule around demand and data. What is the schedule telling you? What are the numbers telling you? Which had the highest attendance? And if you don't know, ask, poll your clients, survey them. Okay. How about your team? Is your team aligned? Here are some of the questions I like to ask. Is everyone on board with our mission, vision, and values? Is everyone aligned with where we are going with the company? Does everyone know our processes and procedures, and are they being followed by everyone? And do we have the right people in the right seats? So those are some of the team questions that are good to ask. Okay. So making sure that you have this in place prior to getting back into full swing in the fall, what are those core competencies and those core expectations that you have for your team? Punctuality, professionalism, coverage, sub requests, responsibilities, like these should be outlined and followed by everyone. Everyone in your company should know what are the 2 to 3 things they must do each and every time they come into work and what they are being assessed on, what they're responsible for, and what you expect of them. If they're guessing, that's on you as the owner. Okay. If it needs to be recommunicated, which it does, we used to communicate these every quarter at our quarterly meetings. We went over our core values. We went over where we were headed as a company. We went over our mission and vision. Everyone knew what they were and where we were going. Are you holding your team members accountable appropriately, or are you just kind of like winging it and fingers crossed, hoping for the best? Host meetings. I know some of you are like, nobody works at the same time or the same schedule or the same location. They can be on Zoom now. A monthly meeting should be part of your ethos as a business. Monthly meetings should be part of your ethos as a business. I'm just saying it again. Okay. If you want your team to be fully bought into your mission, vision, and values, you have to have meetings. Now, you don't have to have wasteful meetings. They should have an agenda. They should talk exactly about what you need. And a lot of times, meetings that take place regularly don't need to be more than 20 to 30 minutes, right? Set the tone for each and every quarter of how you did and where you're going. Summer is another perfect time to review your systems. Okay. Is your onboarding process great? Onboarding for both clients and staff. If you don't have one, you should. Are your automations actually working? I actually just found automations that were not working. The link was wrong, and it was something I was running an ad to. Okay. There was an S meeting missing in the link in the URL. I was like, oh my gosh. But instead of beat myself up, I just fixed it. And I was like, okay, but this is why you should do an audit of your automations every quarter, every month, twice a year, at least once a year to make sure your people that are clicking on your stuff are not going to like a 404 page. Is your software helping you save time, or is it creating more work? I'm a big, big believer. I've talked about this a lot. When we started using Moments at Pilates in the Grove, it really helped us automate so many things. We had a built-in communication system. We had a CRM that we could do emails and sequences and automations. We had a lead tracker. We could run ads right from there. And so if you're interested, I invite you, you can visit my website because I have a whole thing built out of like Moments consulting services because I'm a pro partner for Moments. So if you're interested in talking about software that could make your life easier, I highly suggest Moments. Check it out on my website at christagurka.com. Okay. So how are we going to set goals without being overwhelmed? So the first thing I always set, regardless of whether you want to or not, you need to set a revenue goal because it's just like, it just keeps everyone moving in the right direction. And it's very binary. Okay. You want to set a revenue goal. What else do you want to look at in the second half of the year? Well, are you going to have a back to school special or offer? Maybe. Are you going to have a Black Friday or Cyber Monday promotion? None of these things I'm saying you have to have, but if you're going to, you should start planning them already. So if you're going to have a Black Friday or Cyber Monday special, it should be planned and done and built out by October 15th. Like done, ready to go. Emails ready, social ready, already programmed in your system. You already have it ready to go by October 15th. Okay. What project or initiative are you maybe going to have? Is it to um, launch another teacher training program? Is it to complete the hiring process and onboarding process as part of an SOP for you? We have businesses in the inner circle that are working on completing their SOPs or standard operating procedure and getting them uploaded into a learning management system. Okay, we have other people we have another studio who has 3 locations. So she's really trying to separate, like we talked about earlier, the financials. So she can really dig deep into like which studio is doing well with what. We have another one who's working on their hiring process. Okay. So one per category is really all you need, like one initiative, one revenue goal, and possibly one leadership goal. Like, is it for you to teach less? Is it for you to delegate more? Is it for you to stop avoiding difficult conversations and holding your team accountable? You don't need to have 20,000. 3 is good. Revenue goal, operational goal, and a leadership goal. I think that's a great way to start, especially when you're doing a review and what you can set up to keep your eye on the prize and keep moving forward. Okay. So when we reset, when we review, when we look at other things, it's not about doing more, it's about doing the right thing. So often what I find is people are asking the wrong questions and worried about the wrong shit. What do I mean by that? They're worried about, oh, Club Pilates is opening down the street from me, or Reformer Pilates is da 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 da, all this stuff. Oh my God, they're not really Pilates. They're not doing all this stuff. Yeah, okay. So what? Who gives a shit? Okay. Decades ago, all the contemporary instructors, like myself, were all up in arms about classical instructors calling us not Pilates. And we're like, we are Pilates. We are Pilates. And now we're doing the same thing, turning around and being like, well, that person's not Pilates. But you know what? You're focused on the wrong shit. Take all of that energy that you're worried about bad mouthing the studio that just opened up down the street and focus on your own shit. Focus on getting your systems up to date. Focus on treating your team really well so they will never leave you for another studio. Focus on making raving fans out of your clients. Focus on yourself as a leader and how you can create an environment where people never, ever want to leave. It's what I did as, we're in Pilates. I have 2 Club Pilates by my studio. We had like 4 studios within like a 1 mile radius. I just focus on what I could control the controllable. I can control how I treat others, the type of service we have, the vision and mission, and how we're driving everyone forward. And that's how I got to get myself to create an asset that I was able to walk away with a 7-figure exit and made sure that my team not only stayed intact, but had better upward mobility. I left money on the table so that my team could be rewarded as well. Right. And so that's how I've built a 7-figure business with a 7-figure exit. I know what it takes to create a business that's not just successful, but sustainable and an asset for yourself and for other people. So if you're thinking, well, great, Krista, that all sounds great, but how do I even start with this? I don't know what questions to ask. Like, I have you. I got you. I created this quarterly review worksheet that we used. We just did it earlier this month in both our FitBiz membership and our inner circle. Okay, to look at everything from cash flow to attendance to team morale and your leadership energy. It includes key questions like what bottlenecks are you tolerating in your business? Okay. Is every team member in the right seat? Are your offers still aligned with the bigger vision you have for the company? So it's a great check-in tool designed to help you reset and realign without being overwhelmed. It's very simple. Just go through the process and you can keep it and use it over and over and over again. Take what you like, leave what you don't. And you can grab this by visiting www.christagurka.com/reset. There'll be a link in the show notes. www.christagurka.com/reset. Did I say that properly? Now I'm just playing it back in my head. I'm not sure. www.com. No, www.christagurka.com/reset. I'm sorry. I'm recording this on a Sunday at like 6:00 p.m. and my brain is a little bit mush mush. So, anyways, these are the kind of things that we actually do in our FitBiz monthly membership. So I invite you to check us out. Like it's a great, great community of women, and it is less than what you charge for a private Pilates session at your studio. Again, if you're interested, visit my website, christagurka.com/fitbizfoundations. And we're always open for enrollment anytime. And guess what? No commitment, month to month. No commitment. You can jump on there. If you hate it, which I doubt you will, you can do it for a month and never come back. But I doubt you will. We have women in this program in our membership that have been there for 6 years. So I feel very honored and grateful that that means that I've been, delivering value to them for that long. And we would love to grow our community with someone like you if you're interested. So, okay, they say not to do too many CTAs, and I kind of did. So, but if you want to grab the free worksheet, christagurka.com/reset. And if you're interested in having worksheets like this and having community where we actually go through these worksheets and talk about this stuff, consider joining FitBiz Foundations at christagurka.com/fitbizfoundations. All right. That's all I got for you today, ladies. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, bye for now.